Now, let's start this with the obvious cons. First, the design. For the fourth year running, Apple stuck to the same old design. They've kind of gone back to the iPhone 4S style glass back though. This is probably the largest form factor for a phone with a 5.5-inch display. To give you some perspective, the Note 8 with a 6.3-inch display is still narrower and just a tad taller and thicker. The 8 Plus also happens to be quite heavy, weighing in at over 200 grams. The display resolution though still remains the same at Full HD, and the headphone jack, well, jack's still dead. All these together make the 8 Plus look dated, and even for iOS fans, it seems to be quite a tough sell given the lower than ever demand. That said, look a little closer and Apple's actually put together quite a compelling package with a ton of positives. So let's start with the design again. Now the glass back is not there just to look cool, it enables wireless charging, and thankfully it is not something proprietary but the regular Qi standard. So the 8 Plus can be charged wirelessly with most existing wireless chargers we've been using for Android devices. Now the fact that it's glass does make it slippery, and that is why I quickly added a dbrand skin to mine. If you like me are averse to scratches and want to protect that glass back while still managing to make the phone look good, check out dbrand, our sponsors for this video, at the link in the description below. Anyway, this back is where you'd find those dual cameras. At first glance, they might look like last generation cameras. In fact, a quick look at the specs might lead you to believe the same. 12 megapixel sensors, f1.8 aperture for the primary, 2.8 for the secondary, but Apple claims the camera can now capture 83% more light, and the results seem to justify it. The images look better than ones shot with the 7 Plus. Outdoors under good lighting conditions, the 8 Plus clicks images that are very sharp with a ton of detail. You could read those names when cropped in 100%. The color rendering is great, the colors look true to life, had absolutely no issues whatsoever. Given the f1.8 aperture, the depth of field is quite shallow on macro shots like these, meaning there is more blur to the background. The dynamic range is excellent and gets even better when HDR is turned on. Look at the sun. Now the secondary shooter can get you pictures with 2x lossless zoom. Yes, the pictures turned out really well, but at times if you look closely, it has a tendency to overexpose things. Look at the pedals here. The same secondary camera helps you get portrait mode shots like these. These are probably the best executed portrait shots by any phone, something you guys judged in our portrait mode blind test. Here's a card to that video. If you haven't checked it out yet, do check it out. Now Apple's introduced a new feature called portrait lighting. There are a few lighting options to choose from before or even after clicking the picture. Some of them look cool, yes they are not perfect, but it is worth noting that this feature is still in beta. It should probably get better by the time the final version rolls out. Under low light, the 8 Plus doesn't fail to deliver. Obviously there is some noise, but it still manages to capture a lot of detail. The images are moderately bright and have good colors. A lot of phones tend to mess up white balance under low light, but here it is on point. That said, I do kind of miss the manual mode that I've used from time to time on say the Note 8, and I really wish the 8 Plus had it, because if I wanted to get better pictures, I could even do that on a mid-ranger like the Honor 9i. So kind of strange to see Apple not implement it yet. Anyway, the selfie camera pretty much remains the same from last gen, 7 megapixels. It gets the job done, super sharp images, good color reproduction and dynamic range. I hate the narrow field of view though. These days, almost all phones across various price segments have wider selfie cameras. Anyway, moving on, the biggest changes with videos, the iPhone 8 Plus can shoot 4K video at 60 frames per second, 1080p videos at 240 frames per second. Now this is something even some DSLRs can't do, let alone smartphones. The footage is spectacular, great deal of detail, excellent dynamic range thanks to OIS. The footage is quite stable too, as long as it's being captured via the primary camera, because the secondary camera doesn't have OIS. Anyway, it's also worth mentioning that the 8 Plus captures all videos using the high efficiency video codec HEVC, so a 4K 60 FPS clip here is about the same size as a 1080p clip shot in H.264. There are some Android phones like Huawei's P10 and Mate 9 which already do this, but the adoption is not widespread, and I for one hope to see the adoption rate pick up, and it usually does when Apple implements something. Another thing worth noting is that the viewfinder is exceptionally smooth. That's probably thanks and large to the A11 Bionic chip underneath. Now, traditionally, we've kind of gotten used to iPhones performing better with regards to single core performance and Qualcomm Snapdragon flagships outperforming the Apple 8 chips with multi-core scores. But this time around, Apple's 6-core setup, the A11 Bionic, dominates on both fronts. The A11 Bionic is truly a very capable chip that's put miles between itself and the competition. Apple's first-gen in-house GPU does quite well too, as evident by the GPU-intensive benchmarks. Now, benchmarks are kinda theoretical, right? How does that convert to practicality? Well, firstly, with intensive tasks like gaming, there are no caveats. It's all smooth sailing. The A11 Bionic doesn't even break a sweat. With day-to-day usage, iOS 11 shines here. There's a lot of tiny changes that iOS 11 has brought with it. For example, the revamped control center, the 3D touch options for all the items here. I'm still quite unsure on how I feel about the notification bar becoming the lock screen. Anyway, whatever it is that you're trying to do here, it is all rapid fast, but the iPhone 7 Plus is rapid fast too. In fact, the difference here is kind of negligible. I mean, for more intense stuff like the new AR apps based on Apple AR Kit, the iPhone 8 Plus does have an advantage, but AR is still in its infancy and isn't really gonna bring anything to the table. As of today, once the novelty of the few apps and games wear off, you're not really gonna do much with it. So for all intents and purposes, with day-to-day usage, the 7 Plus gets you almost the same results as the 8 Plus, despite the 8 Plus scoring much higher on benchmarks. Now, the battery life, despite the reduction in battery capacity, was surprisingly good. The 8 Plus could easily get me through a day of moderate to heavy usage on a single charge. I found it better than some Android flagships with higher capacity batteries. Not a lot's changed with the display. The 8 Plus still covers the same wide... Oh yeah, I'm talking display. The 8 Plus also supports fast charging now. I mean, you'd have to pay extra to get a fast charger, but you know, it still supports it. It is what it is, I guess. Anyway, the display, the 8 Plus still covers the same wide DCI-P3 color gamut as its predecessor. So I didn't really notice a lot of differences here. The quality remained excellent, great viewing angles, natural colors. Talking about colors, Apple's now using their True Tone technology that we first got to experience with the iPad Pro. That's now here on the 8 Plus. So basically, depending on the ambient light, the white balance of the display gets recalibrated so that you always see the same thing no matter what lighting condition the phone's being viewed at. It is a subtle touch, should really help while consuming media. Talking about media consumption, the dual speaker setup from the last generation iPhones returns. Apple claims they are 25% louder. I don't know if they are any louder, but what I can tell you is that they're a lot cleaner. The stereo effect is very noticeable, and I'd have to say these are probably the best sounding smartphone speakers that I've, ever tested. Overall, the audio quality was good with both the earpods and while on calls. I faced no issues with cellular reception or call quality. So with that, let's talk price. The iPhone 8 Plus launched in India for 73,000 rupees and is already selling a bit cheaper around the 71k mark. Right from the launch, there have been cashback offers for about 10,000 rupees for the 8 Plus, so at around 65-70,000 rupees, is this a phone you should get? Well, this is the part where I'd usually say if you want the latest and greatest that the brand has to offer, then be prepared to spend a lot of money and pick this up. But here's the catch, the iPhone 8 Plus is neither the latest nor the greatest that Apple has to offer. That would be the 10. The 8 Plus is definitely a great phone, but the 7 Plus is almost as good. Not on paper, the benchmarks do put it far behind, but in reality, whether it's app speeds or camera performance, the 7 Plus is almost there. And it's available at a much lower cost. If you look at the Android side of things, there are phones that look much better, have cameras quite as good, if not better, might not be as fast, but bring with them a host of other functionality that the iPhone 8 Plus lacks. But if you do have the money to blow and want the best Apple has to offer, well, like I said, don't get the 8 Plus. Wait for the 10. So I don't really see a scenario, well, barring one where you're a YouTuber and you want to review it so you buy it. I don't really see any other scenario where you'd want to get an 8 Plus. Now, Well, that's just my 2 cents on the 8 Plus. If you hated this video, you know what to do. But if you did like it, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below. Also the bell icon so that you get notified each time we upload a new video. And if you haven't checked out our sponsors, Dbrand, do hit them up. I will have a direct link right there in the description. They offer some awesome skins for the latest phones. Do check it out if you're interested. So that's it. Thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, this here is Ash. You've been watching C4E Tech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.